It really challenges you, and it really kind of pinpoints your unique talents and weaknesses.
When I came here, I was immediately able to learn at my own pace, accelerate, and really learn what I wanted to learn.
Not only do you use different tools and different ways of learning, you get to learn a more in-depth study.
You go at your own pace rather than going at a universal rate.
Because at my last school, lots of times you would just have a book thrown in front of you and then the teacher would lazily just kind of sit down and tell you to read it, and it wasn't a very effective way of learning for me specifically.
We get technology that we get to work with, all of these different resources, very smart teachers who themselves are gifted, and it's just a more conducive environment for gifted kids to work in.
Gary and Jeannie Herberger found a profound need for kids that were like Gary Herberger. Gary is a highly gifted person himself and had some challenges academically, socially, as he was going through primarily middle school. They developed this school to be a place for highly gifted kids to come and learn at their own pace, to really develop their true potential. All of the research really shows that middle school is really a time where they begin to drop out academically, drop out socially. For a lot of kids that are in this level of thinking, they really don't find true friends in middle school. For many of these highly gifted kids, the first time that they really click and find that group really is in college and sometimes even graduate school. So our primary goal, of course, is academics. But for me, I believe that the social emotional piece has to be there or the academics don't matter.
This would be a place I would want to go to school. This would be a place that as a kid I would have wanted to come here. I would have wanted this to be my education. I've been teaching for a really long time. I've worked in all kinds of schools and situations. And we get to do what we do well and just about whatever we want here. And what works for kids best is what we get to do every day.
Our students don't have challenges and failures early on in their academic careers. It might happen when they're freshmen in college and they're in, the same honors program that everybody else is, and then they start encountering challenges. But at that point, they don't have the coping strategies or the social emotional intelligence to really handle that and then move on. And so that becomes an actual failure in their life. And it doesn't become a turning point all the time. It's kind of turns them off of education. And then we're losing people with the most potential.
This is what I think from having met the kids at the beginning, that a lot of them have been told they're smart for a long time. And they've been told they're smart in the context of being quick to answer questions and being right all the time. So for them, they've developed this idea of smart is fast and right. And we really need a much better definition than that. And this is a school that really kind of forces them to redefine what it means to be smart.
I mean, in some respects, these are the kids that are bored. These are the kids that are, they might underperform because they're simply sitting in there and hearing the traditional style class of lecture, test. Well, they can lecture, test, they can read, they can obviously pass it, but they're not being stimulated, they're not being challenged, they're not going to that next level.
The whole Cambridge system which we're in is significantly deeper than what you get even in IB programs, I think. It's really deep level thinking about things and drawing connections, a lot more about taking what you're learning and try to see how it would apply in situations that are brand new to you. I ask a question, they're pretty much going to Google it right away, but to ask questions where they have to synthesize various ideas and pull it together, and there really is no quick research question. It makes them uncomfortable maybe, but it's really important to be able to do that.
So one of the things that we can do is if a kid needs to go above and beyond with the university support, we can provide that opportunity. And it doesn't take them out of their normal context because we are part of the university and we are literally 10 feet from the door of the other building across the sidewalk.
We have students right now that at 12 years old, completed all of their high school graduation requirements in mathematics completely at 12. Now, in a traditional environment, you would still have to take those high school level classes. You couldn't test out of them, so to speak. But our students took the Cambridge assessments. They passed their graduation requirements. They applied to and were accepted to ASU, and they have completed college calculus with A's in the class.
I think being at a university, I think that's tremendous, to be on a university campus with that level of academia going on, but also just that attitude, that feeling that it has. It doesn't feel at all like a regular high school or a regular middle school here. It feels very much like you're serious about what you do. And so I think that's pretty wonderful. We have access to university quality lab space, and that's pretty amazing. And access to pretty much at least at the undergraduate level, the equipment that you would be using. And that allows us to delve pretty deeply into some of the science. I think by the end of the year, we'll have done 80 labs this year. That's quite a few. To me, being able to do more than talk about science, but to actually get kids, in some cases, developing their own experiments, identifying what it is they're interested in exploring and then developing their own experiment to figure that out. That, to me, is really where it's at. If you don't go there with it, if all you do is sort of what's the stuff in the textbook or what's the stuff that is in the curriculum that you're supposed to cover, I think it's pretty dry, and I think it really doesn't take you anywhere where you feel like you're really doing science.
We deprogram them. We teach them how to think critically, how to think independently, and not have that, we don't have a bell system here. If we are heavily involved in the topic of the morning, we can spend all morning on that, and sometimes the next day and even the day after that.
What would your choice be right now based on everything you know, all of the insight that you have?
It's just a highly integrated thematic method of teaching where we've tried that in regular middle school settings where you have period types of setups. You have first, second, third period. We don't have to do that here. We can make decisions based on whatever it is that we're doing. So if it works well to keep them together for 3 hours, we can do that. If it works well to break them apart for a couple hours, we can do that. So it doesn't sound like it's the most important part of the process, but our schedule really allows us to put together a day that is seamless for the kids.
Right. And the groups are going to build a fire and make smoke signals. Wow. And nobody's going to try to find their own way to the rescue party. No.
For the way that we're establishing our competency-based curriculum and the way that we intertwine it and then put it into that day, as Mike was saying, is tremendously unique. We are the home of the learning episode, which is if you were to come in and you were to take, a little bit of reality TV and a sitcom and mesh it together with all of this content and game design and layers of sustainability and intended and unintended consequences with a social transformation overlay, that would just give you a pinch of what our day really is. And that's incredible.
The rule is this. You may show others in your group how to tie the knot. You may not tie the knot for them. Okay? There's a difference. You may absolutely use all search knowledge that you have in computer, tech, whatever you need.
Okay, so ready? Right over left.
We are lucky enough to work with kids that they have an interest in learning. They're just curious by nature. They want to know more. They're fascinated by so many of the things that are happening in the world right now.
I'm only seeing one figure 8 knot so far.
And I like seeing how the kids respond in this situation and what works well for them and what they're interested in. And then that kind of gives us, the brain food to go back and digest and bring out something better. And I think that's where we're headed next year.
We use the word epiphany a lot.
Yeah. We have a ton of fun planning it together, and we have even more fun seeing the kids and what they do with it. And that's really, really special. There's a common culture in this school that I have yet to see somewhere else.
Education hasn't changed in 150 years. We still are doing this factory model of producing kids in a world that everything is new and it changes by the minute, sometimes by the second. The kids that go here are really going to change the world. They really are. These are the change agents. We are at a time right now in the US, globally, that we really need these innovative, creative, out-of-the-box thinkers. And this is the place for them to really grow and develop and become that. So the Herbergers made it happen, but the kids are the reason that this place exists.